Hi everyone, I'm Daniel, and today I want to kick off our campaign play along from MythosBusters for the next few months. You might know that I've been playing Edge of the Earth on my channel, and I finished it up last week. But guess what? The voters have determined which campaign we are playing for the MythosBusters campaign play along, and it's Edge of the Earth. I did not encourage this. It was a very hotly contested voting week a few weeks ago between Edge of the Earth and Dream Eaters, and at the very end, it ended up being Edge of the Earth. So here we go. I'm not just announcing this as someone who's going to be participating in the campaign play along, but also as the person who's kind of running it. I'm a member of the council or whatever we are. We're the organizers, and there's about 5 of us, I believe, and we kind of take turns who's running the show. I've been playing the campaign play along on my channel for several years, but this is my chance to kind of put my own stamp on it. Now, you might have already know something about how these campaign play-alongs work, but if not, I will tell you all about it here and encourage you to join in on the fun. So let's just get started with sort of the basics. The schedule is that we are going from now, this is the end of March, until middle of May or so. So we're playing one scenario per week. The idea is that we all are reporting in on our results and playing the same scenarios at the same time, more or less. And that means that it's like playing with a bunch of your friends across the whole planet and seeing differences between your decks, the investigators you've picked, and just what happens, right? You're sharing some of those experiences. We don't usually get to do this when a new campaign comes out because we kind of play it in a staggered manner, depending on when it comes out. True for the Drowned City, which is coming out this week, I think, at least in North America. United States, I think it's been out in Canada for a little while now. So this is a chance for everyone to sort of share what that's like together. Now, that said, you are allowed to play any investigator you want, but there are some rules for sharing basically card pools. And this is kind of the same idea that if you are playing with the campaign play along, you're sharing some experiences, not with just the campaign itself, but probably we all have these same cards, and it's kind of fun to limit yourself a bit in the card pool so you're not just playing, the same cards in every single campaign you play, but you get to know a little bit more of the depth of some of these expansions. So you're allowed to play any investigator. Doesn't have to be from these products. Could be, any product. But you can play with the revised core, anything from the revised core. Even if you don't own the revised core, you have the original. You can put in those cards like Rite of Seeking 2, which was from Return to Dunwich Legacy, but then reprinted in the revised core. You can play it. And anything from Return to Night of the Zealot, I know that's like not that common anymore to have. There's only a few cards in there, but historically we've always played with the revised core, the return to of that particular campaign, as well as the original Night of the Zealot campaign too. Anyway, obviously you can play with the Edge of the Earth Investigator expansion because there's a lot of really, really good cards there. It's a very juicy expansion with all the multi-class cards, so you'll have a good shot at putting most of these cards to work in whichever investigator you play. So I'm looking forward to seeing what people build in with those cards especially. Then, as always, we also get the investigator starter decks. So this is the Nathaniel Cho, Harvey Walters, Jacqueline Fine, Winifred Habamuk, and Stella Clark decks. So everything level 0 all the way up to level 5 cards that you get in any of these expansions is fair game. Weaknesses, this is kind of up to you. You can use any weakness you want from, well, you could randomly select a weakness from the entire card pool that you own, or just pick from these sets. I like to do that. I like to do that personally. I mean, it gives us a chance to maybe see some weaknesses you don't see as often, especially coming from the investigator expansion itself. So those tough healing weaknesses might be something you get in your deck, and there's a lot of healing in this set, so it shouldn't be a big deal. Anyway, if you've been playing the campaign play along for a while, you probably have gotten used to these sets in particular because a lot of decks, I'm not going to say they feel very samey, but they tend to be like using some of these same cards. So I encourage you to branch out a bit and use more of the Edge of the Earth cards if possible. Otherwise, I mean, you could literally just run Harvey Walters as is, and it would be great, honestly. So those are the main rules. We play basically one scenario a week, although some weeks are a little bit different since this campaign is more linear than not, but in some cases a bit linear. And we'll be doing that all the way to the end. It's your choice as to everything else in the campaign, the story choices, which partners to choose. If you haven't played this campaign before, you're in for a treat. This is one of my favorite campaigns, and it allows you to kind of fill in some of those gaps in your deck building with those partner assets you pick at the beginning. I will be giving some slight spoilers for the rest of what happens in the campaign. Slight. When I talk about some of the other optional rules. So if you're happy with just the first time playing through, doing a little bit of limited deck building, but joining lots of other people in some fun, you can call it here. There's a link in the description of how to sign up for this because part of the fun is to report your results. The MythosBusters Discord also has people talking about and giving reports about what happened in their particular playthrough, but we use a Google form to report a little bit more officially. More important for things I'll talk about in a second. Okay, so here are the optional things. And this was just introduced into our MythosBusters campaign play along a few campaign play alongs ago when we played Dungeon Legacy last year. That we've been doing this a while, right? And why not spice up the gameplay a bit with what we call contracts? And then I'm adding what are called tasks this time. And these tasks are heavily inspired by the ones from the Drowned City, although I've not played the campaign, so I don't really know much about them. I just came up with what I thought would be a way to do tasks for a campaign. We'll go through these one by one. Many of these contracts are some small benefit for maybe some small downside, or maybe even something a bit more of a benefit for a bigger downside. So you can go through them and choose what you want. You don't have to do all of them. You can do one of them. You can do none of them. It's totally up to you. A few of them do apply to the group as a whole. Some of them apply more to your own deck and your own deck building in particular, and some of them are just things you should do for your whole group. So let's go over them one at a time. The first one is a bit of an inside joke. This one's called the Raven Lord's Gambit. And before we opened up the voting for which campaign to play, one of the users on the MythosBusters Discord said, his name is Lord of Ravens, did a joke poll of which of the Investigator starter deck cards do you like the best? And the one that won was Stand Together, level 0 in the Daniel Cho deck. And the one that had no votes, I believe, was Scrying Mirror, the Jacqueline Fine card, which I think is still a great card. So as kind of a joke response for that, I made up this contract where in return for removing Stand Together from the available card pool, you can get an extra victory point if you have Scrying Mirror in play. So yeah, I mean, if you don't have anyone who can take Stand Together, this is maybe kind of cheating a bit, but the idea is to get a little bit more play from these cards that are a bit underused. So I highly encourage you to try this just to play Scrying Mirror, and this is an incentive to do so. I like when mixing up these campaigns. By the way, again, I came up with basically all of these. We had some discussion in the group about how to tweak some of them, so it's not completely 100% my design, but a little bit of designer notes you'll get from me as I talk through this. None of these are like supposed to be super balanced, by the way. They're just for fun, as most things I hope are. Anyway, so this one, yeah, it's just to encourage people to play cards that they don't usually play and not just rely on all the old staples. So here's a bit of an encouragement. Again, you have to have Scrying Mirror in play at the end of the scenario. It's okay if you resign, right, or die. That's okay. Wait, no. If you die, I don't think this should count because you're not. It's no longer in play. So you have to show up and stay the whole game, but resigning is fine and ending the scenario otherwise is also okay. Okay. Let's go on to the next one, which if you've played the campaign before, Edge of the Earth has a number of story points where you have to choose a member of the expedition team who, for the most part, dies. There are some other cases where you might randomly choose them and you might want to re-choose, but this is a little bit of plot armor. And basically, if you really want them in your team and you don't want them to be randomly removed, then okay, I'm going to let you do it. But if you do that, you have to take a random flaw, injury, or madness weakness into your deck. Somewhat. This is just one for the whole group. You can keep doing this over and over again if you keep picking people that you don't want to die, but then you'll have to add more weaknesses to your deck. So a little bit of plot armor, but there's a penalty. I hope you have fun with this one. If you're really trying to get particular endings that require you to have certain partners still alive. Okay, now we're getting to ones that are messing a bit more with your deck building. So these are for each investigator. So you got to pick this for you. It doesn't affect anyone else. So this one, Into the Rabbit Burrow, is hopefully by the name of it, sounds a lot like Down the Rabbit Hole, which is now in our set of cards we can play with, because that's from Edge of the Earth. Now, it's a little bit tougher in a limited card pool to make Down the Rabbit Hole work because there aren't as many versions of those cards by title, right? So Down the Rabbit Hole lets you discount a card when you're upgrading it. So if you have like level 0 Shriveling, because we always have that, that's in the core set, and you want to upgrade that to level 3 Shriveling, it only costs you 2 experience instead of 3. Well, it's tough in the campaign play along, you don't have those cards. So this card lets you add all of them into your card pool. So I'm giving you more broad access just to make Down the Rabbit Hole work, but not necessarily. If you don't want to play with Down the Rabbit Hole, this gives you access to all kinds of stuff that you might not otherwise get. So that's just up to you if you want to do this, but it is a lot of power, right? Having access to many, many other cards makes things easier. So in return, when the game begins, you're going to shuffle the top 2 cards of the Tech Lily deck into your deck without looking at them. And if you can't do that for whatever reason, like there's no more cards left in there, then you'll take a direct horror for each card that you can't. Again, like we have On the Hunt level 3 in the card pool, so why not have On the Hunt level 0 as well, which is usually from Path to Carcosa. So gives you a chance to look at all of your cards again and see what you have and what you don't, but I like this one a lot, and got a nice little hair there in the snow as to represent kind of down the rabbit hole a bit. Okay, next one is also encouraging you to deck build in a specific way. This one's called Dogs Will Keep You Warm, and this is a permanent, this is for each, again, deck. When you accept this contract, your investigator gains additional requirements. Your deck must include at least 8 cards with animals in them. By the way, this is not a card in your deck. These contracts are not really part of your deck at all. So we're looking at cards like Sled Dogs. That's the whole point here. I want you to put 4 Sled Dogs in your deck, but you know what? You can't just get away with that. You need 4 more cards with animals. You have some Guard Dogs in the core set. Maybe you can pick up Guard Dog 2 if you take Into the Rabbit Burrow. But I want you to be creative here. This could be anything in the art. That's the intent, is in things in the art. I saw someone say that there was like a dog or a snake or something on Unexpected Courage. I guess that might count. I'm not policing this, so whatever you think works, go for it. There are not just animals, but animals in the art, but maybe animals in the title, if that's something that you're picking. Okay, so I'll let you figure that out. Now, the benefit for doing this, not just to play with Sled Dogs because they're fun, is if there are at least 3 Frost tokens in the Chaos bag, you can use this card to remove one of them from the Chaos bag, max once per campaign. Actually, I may have changed this to say limit once per campaign to make sure that multiple people can do this at once. Let me just take a look real quick. Look at that. Magic. It's all gone. Limit once per campaign. All right. So, yeah, I think a lot of people just love animals on their cards. If you can get more cards in your card pool through some other things we'll look at in a second, then go nuts. But I like the theme on this too. This came about through a conversation we had in our campaign play along organizers Discord, and I just went with it. I thought it was so funny, and hopefully works out really well for everyone. All right, how to get more things into your card pool. I've got 2 options for you. If you've played previous campaign play-alongs, especially if you've done this through the MythosBusters Discord, every time since the last few, we've told you that basically as an encouragement to play in the next one, you can announce that you've finished the campaign, and then you'll get to pick during your next campaign play-along a card from the previous expansion's card pool. So we just had Feast of Hemlock Vale. So if you played that and announced, or just whatever, just if you played it, go ahead and take one card that doesn't have to be one you played, but just something from that expansion, and now gets to be part of your card pool for the Edge of the Earth campaign play along too. Why not bring a mask in? That seems like fun, right? Whatever you want. If you want to pick one from a previous campaign, we've done Carcosa, we did Dunwich before that. That's also fine. Again, this is all for fun. I'm not going to do too much policing here, but it's totally okay if you have mixed number of players in your group. If some people didn't play the last one and they're going to pick one from Carcosa, that works as well. So whatever works for you, get one more card into your card pool. And then for free, if you are playing solo, and you know what? Playing solo Edge of the Earth is totally doable. You just saw me do it, albeit with a larger card pool. Pick anything you want. Any card that gets added to your card pool for the duration of this campaign. And I'm pretty sure that these are card names, so you could pick the level 0 and the level 2 or 3 or something goes in at the same time. So if you're picking Peter Sylvester, you get both of them. You don't have to pick just one particular level of the card. So one card name works. Again, trying to be as open and as friendly as we can. Don't ask me too many questions. Do it however you want, right? Whatever you want is fine. All right, I believe that's all of the tasks. Sorry, all of the contracts. Now we're getting to tasks. Again, I made these up because I thought they sounded like fun. A way to get a return to Edge of the Earth, given that we don't have one and probably won't ever have one. So why not spice up the campaign by giving you something else to complete, something else to reach for? Now, these are just like the ones in the Drowned City, as far as I know from the intro. That we got last August. So there's a weakness side, which is how this card always comes into play. And then once it gets completed, the task is completed, you're going to flip it over, and then you're going to get the benefit on the other side. Now, how do you know if you've completed the task? You're going to take a look at what this says here, but also I will tell you no one will be completing the task until a certain checkpoint, which will be before Heart of Madness. So there's a 2-part finale. Before that 2-part finale is when I will check to see if you have made enough progress. All right, so this first one, Crest the Summit, it has 0 triumphs. So you are going to try to succeed by skill test by 3 or more. If you do this 7 times during a scenario, you're going to mark 1 progress under this task. So try to succeed by a lot. And if you do this enough times, again, there's only 6 scenarios, but technically you could play Fatal Mirage more than once. If you've made enough progress, however much that might be, then you'll get to flip this over. And when you succeed at a skill test, you can exhaust this, you succeed by up to 2 more. So every round, you get a chance to succeed by even more. All of these were designed to have interesting effects during that finale. So if you played this before, you can think about what I was thinking about, but I'm not going to spoil it too much. I would like to hear what your experiences really are. All right, that's the first one. I've got 6 for you. The next one is Better Part of Valor. This one has 0 escapes, and the force effect is after you leave a location with 1 or more enemies and enter an empty location, place 1 escape on Better Part of Valor. When the game ends, if there are 4 or more escapes, then you get to mark 1 progress. The benefit is on this other side. When an enemy enters your location, immediately move to a connecting location, ignoring any additional costs. The enemy still enters your previous location. This is like Think on Your Feet. That's a card from Dunwich. Originally, I didn't have the ignoring any additional costs, but I was convinced by one of my compatriots to do it, to ignore penguins, and there might be some other benefits there too. So just feel free to pick this one and see what it's like in those last 2 scenarios. Number 3, Jack of All Trades. This one is intended to get you to want to play synergy cards. Those are the ones that have more than one, or that want you to have more than one class. So this one comes into play with 0 provisions. When an asset is played under your control, if that card has a class that does not match a class among non-permanent cards you control, you get 1 provision on here for each class that does not match. That's a mouthful. Okay, so for example, it's not counting permanent cards, but if you are a guardian, you're rolling banks, you play magnifying glass. Okay, great. You get to mark 1 provision because you have no other secret things in play. Then let's say you play Prophetic. This is the tri-class card from Edge of the Earth, of course. And that has Guardian, Mystic, and Survivor on it. Okay, you don't have any Survivor or Mystic cards in play yet, so you get 2 more. What happens if you get a Crypt Chill or something and you lose Magnifying Glass and then you play another one? Great. Now you get that 4th provision. So something like that will get you all the way there. Maybe requires a little bit of shenanigans, but we'll see how easy it is to complete this task. The benefit on the other side, of course, is that you're going to get an extra action every turn, which can be only used to play a multi-class card. Could be an asset or event, right? The weakness side here, the task only cares about assets, but the completed one lets you get a benefit from the multi-class events as well. If you've got a Bob on your team, I highly encourage this because I deliberately worded it to be when an asset is played under your control, not when you play an asset. So neutral is not a class, so that's not one of those. Just the 5 classes. All right, let's move on to the next one, which is Hell Frozen Over. This one is also more related to the campaign. This one has 0 icicles. After you resolve a frost or auto-fail token during a skill test you are performing, exhaust this, place 1 icicle, and you got to do that 4 times each game. 4 times. That is maybe a lot, maybe not. You're going to find out. But you also have to keep the frost tokens in the bag, so that's not usually what you want to do. What's the benefit? On the other side, after you reveal a frost token during a skill test you're performing, cancel that token, seal it here, reveal a new one. At the end of the round, release all tokens sealed on Hell Frozen Over. Okay, so you could stack up a bunch of frost tokens here and keep them there for the rest of the round. That's the idea. That seems good. And by the way, in the finale, there are other tokens that might be treated like a frost token. Those can be sealed here too. That's the intent. All right, the next 2 are also more campaign story related. So there's a number of supplies that you're supposed to recover. So if you get those and you get them into a deck, that's how you can mark progress. This one and the next one are ways in which you can make more than 1 progress per scenario. So just be mindful of that. The number here will be much larger than the others, but the number that you need to get to complete the task is probably also larger. So what's the benefit for getting all these expedition assets? Well, when the game begins in those last 2 scenarios, each investigator may search their deck for 1 story asset from that encounter set and play it at no cost. Okay, and then your expedition assets enter play with 2 additional uses. And now I'm starting to think not just Memorials of the Lost encounter set, I think. Or no, I think that one's okay. That one means you have to lose a partner, and that gets you that. I don't think it's supposed to count the expedition assets themselves. You get that other benefit at the bottom too. Okay. Last one. No, now I'm seeing that I made a mistake here. Yeah. Let's go back. This one here on the right is supposed to say a story asset from the expedition assets, and then the next one here is Memorials of the Lost. Okay, we'll fix that online. This is the nice part about having these cards, is that I can change them as we go along and figure out we made some mistakes. Okay, Memento Mori. This one is very similar to the last one where you can make lots of progress, and this is after an entry is written in Memories Banished. This happens a few times during the campaign, but it's just in 1 scenario. Again, if you have not played this before, it's during Fatal Mirage, so you need to make progress by going through Fatal Mirage maybe more than once. The benefit here is each investigator may search their deck for 1 story asset from the Memorials of the Lost encounter set and play it at no cost, and then your partner asset also gains +1 health, +1 sanity, and you ignore the effects of Miasmatic Torment. So that is a card that is only, I think, in the last 2 scenarios. It's a treachery. It's a very annoying one, and you get to ignore it completely. You draw it, and the effects is to attach to a partner asset. You don't do it. You discard it. You don't attach it at all. Discard it. But that's only for you. For the other folks, then they don't get that. All right, those are 6 tasks. Each investigator can pick 1, and you do not get to double up on tasks for your group. So if you want to try out multiple ones, have a big group, great. Everyone gets a different one, but you don't have to do it. There is a checkpoint, like I said, right before Heart of Madness Part 1, where I'm going to see how much progress you've made on each task. I'm going to tell you, did you complete it or not? And there may be a downside to not completing your task. But given that I don't want to screw everyone over, please, please, please report what your progress is, and I can come up with a fair amount for some of these. I think I already know, but I want to see how this is actually going. So please report in the spreadsheet and the Google form that's linked below after each of the scenarios. And that way we kind of know how it's been going. I hope these are fun. Again, I came up with them. I think they sound fun, but we'll find out together, right? I think the whole idea should be a good time. Again, we just started on March 29th for Scenario 1, and that goes for a whole week. And then the next 2 weeks, or next week will be the next two scenarios, Ice and Death Part 2 and 3. And I encourage you to sign up in the link below. There's a link both to the MythosBusters Discord so you can follow along a little bit more, and then the form to sign up, as well as the form to give your results for Scenario 1, Ice and Death Part 1. I'm going to do this too. I know it kind of is annoying to have to play Edge of the Earth again, but I really like the campaign. And this time I believe I'm trying to get Pax, who's another content creator, to play with me. We did Return to the Forgotten Age about a year ago, and it was a really fun time. So I'm getting him to do it. We may not be able to get those videos up exactly on schedule just because he has a life, I have a life, and I'm recording this literally on March 30th. So it's not as easy to get ahead on these sorts of things. But please check out those videos. Hopefully, if we do them, I'm planning on doing a Marion deck, which will be kind of fun because there's a lot of good cards for her in this card pool, but also she's missing some of the cards that she needs from her own expansion. So it'll be fun to see how well that works. Kind of was the same case with Hank when Pax played him, but we had actually cards from Feast of Hemlock Vale available to us when we played Forgotten Age. This time, no, we're going to just play with the card pool plus whatever contracts or tasks we might take, which will be determined later. I'm trying to get Pax to do Vincent Lee, but we'll see if that actually happens. All right, that's it. Thanks for listening, and hopefully you'll be playing along with us, and I'll see you either in the comments here or in the MythosBusters Discord as well. Bye!